I'm worried. You're worried. We're worried. Let's worry. Hey, everybody. I'm Casey Grambo,
And I'm Kevin McDermott.
and we're performers at the CT Comedy Theater in Hartford, Connecticut. While our physical theater is shut down due to the pandemic, we're excited to bring our show, Little Worry, Big Worry, to you in this digital space. On each episode of Little Worry, Big Worry, we're joined by a very funny guest to talk about what we're worried about, the silly little things, and then some bigger personal fears. We're going to talk it over, break it down, and hopefully feel a little less worried. Hi, Kevin.
Casey Grambo. How are you?
You know, still kicking after all the snow, but
We've had 3 snowstorms since our last recording, which was 1 week ago. And yeah, Central Connecticut has gotten some snow. But you survived all right?
Yeah, it was fine.
Do you know what helped me survive, Casey?
What helped you?
Last week on our episode with Laura, you during our Recommend Something Good segment recommended Haim's new album, and I loved it.
I'm so glad that you loved it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was great. I really appreciated the recommendation. So I knew previous Haim had listened to like previous Haim albums. I had seen and loved like their live performances. I don't know if you've ever seen like videos or anything of them playing live. Amazing. And so it also helped me realize that I love strong female vocalists. I listened to a ton of Bonnie Raitt and Susan Tedeschi and Lucinda Williams. I'm anxious to hear what you thought of my recommendation because that band also features a badass female vocalist. But I really loved Haim, so thank you for that recommendation. That was awesome.
You're welcome. Guys, Kevin recommended the song Side Pony by Lake Street Dive. Yes, and it's
how fun is that song, first of all?
It's a really fun song. Yeah. And I had a hard time. I tell this because it gets me into what I ended up listening to more of. I couldn't find it on an album, so I just went to like their playlist. And I really like bands that are kind of like rock blues kind of combos. Bruce Springsteen bands / Southside Johnny kind of stuff. And honestly, like it brought me Amy Winehouse vibes. It's not Amy Winehouse, like no one can be her. And she, was invoking other people as well. But I thought it was a delight, and it accompanied me making pancakes. So.
Oh, that is perfect. I think they recommend that you listen to them while making breakfast. That's how they're best known and best consumed. But yeah, that lead singer, like her voice is so like thick and like strong. And she can go like powerful and sensual and like everything in the range. So I'm glad you like that as well.
Speaking of powerful and sensual, I think this brings us to our introducing our guest.
Oh, perfect segue, Casey.
Thank you. Guys, joining us today on our show is a Connecticut-based improviser, the creator of the improvised Hallmark Lifetime movie, and host of the video series Cooking with Allie. Please welcome our guest, Allie Rivera.
Yeah, Allie.
Hello. I don't think I've ever been described as sensual before, so this is a big day for me. Thank you very much.
That's how I always describe you. So
is it?
I'm sorry this is the first time you're hearing it, but it's been years since I've known you. I've always said, my sensual friend, Allie.
Great. I hope you've said that in professional settings as well.
Only. It's on my LinkedIn profile when I'm connected with you.
Oh my God.
My connections include my sensual friend, Allie.
Perfect. Excellent.
That's
wonderful to see you, Allie.
It's so good to see you both. This is a dream come true. I'm also a huge Lake Street Dive fan.
Oh, so
love them. My brother introduced me to them. Awesome. So good.
It is he's in Boston and they're Boston?
Yes. So he's seen them live like several times.
Yeah.
He was supposed to do like a backstage thing with them right when the pandemic hit. So,
Just
Drag.
so
They'll be
booked.
around after, and I can't wait to see them
yeah.
live. They do have a full live album that is amazing.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, definitely recommend anybody. I'm glad you know them, but anybody who doesn't, check out Lake Street Dive. And Casey's recommendation, Haim. Pretty super well known Haim, but their new album does crush. So check that out. So
Yes.
yeah. Allie, it is so good to see you. I always like just seeing your face, being around your spirit makes me happy every single time. And both Casey and I have been able to improvise with you many times at the CT Comedy Theater. So doing this little show in the virtual space, we're so psyched to have you. So
I'm so psyched to be here. This is awesome, and I'm very
awesome.
excited about it.
Cool. Well, we're going to dive right in, if that's all
Yes.
right. And I'm going to offer my first little worry, and then we're going to go to our special guest to hear her little worry. Um, my little worry is that I recently have realized that without really recognizing that I'm engaging in these behaviors, continue to do filthy and disgusting things without realizing them. I'm a middle-aged man now, the father of two with a successful career who still does filthy, filthy things. By way of example, um, I rarely wear band-aids. So I just have like open festering is too strong a word, but like open wounds on my body that I just don't cover with band-aids because I don't see the need. Um, I am a huge advocate for snot rockets and
Ugh.
still do snot rockets all the time with and so my worry, this is my worry. I do these things and I don't recognize that they are filthy and disgusting and unbecoming of a middle-aged man.
Mm.
You don't recognize that a snot
No,
rocket
I,
is
no,
unbecoming?
no. I realize that it's socially unacceptable. I don't realize that I do it. I just
Okay.
instinctively, habitually, just blow snot out of my nose, which I understand not okay, but I still do it. And so I'm worried that will there be a point where I stop doing those things and stop doing filthy things that I used to do in college and younger? Because at this point in my middle 40s, I'm not. I still do them. I still do
Yeah.
them a lot.
I
You both
have
look at me like, do you
feelings.
not do anything filthy?
Listen,
Like
I do
what?
filthy things
Okay.
in
Oh, yeah.
private.
All right. So
No
that's
one
yeah.
sees
Yeah.
my
Okay.
proverbial snot rockets. Um, I, I just, I, my like a, my the reason I'm a like a gape is because
Yeah.
you know there have been moments where I've you have to do a snot rocket. You are Kleenexless, and like I'm so sorry for everyone who's like gagging right now. I'm sorry, but we're gonna talk about it because this
Yeah.
is what Kevin is worried about.
Time to
There's
stop
moments.
being polite and start getting real.
That's right.
There are places where
I am Puck. I am the Puck here. I don't know if that's that. I mean, that definitely dates me. That's the only real world casts that I remember. New York, LA, and San Francisco. But yes,
I think
sorry, Casey, go on.
no, you don't have to apologize. I couldn't name a single person from the real world. It was because I was not allowed to watch MTV, but we snuck it as much as we could. Um, Basically, I admire the fact that you have so much kind of like almost like self-confidence and not like worried that anyone's gonna be like, "Ew," that you're just
Yeah.
like ripping a snot rocket. What was the open wounds? Is this like a
Yeah.
suck it up buttercup kind of thing?
No, no, not at all. I think it developed in like college and post college where I just didn't own band-aids or didn't have band-aids. So I'm a rough physical person. I still it's a joke amongst my friends. Like McDermott will have open wounds, on my feet during the summer or randomly on my body. Because I move too fast and I am always rough and like hurt myself, to varying degrees. So Yeah, it won't even register to me that like I'll just have like a big ass open cut on my body that's not covered by a band-aid or a wrap of some sort, which I understand is what people customarily do in those situations. But
Allie, like, how do you feel about this? Like, would you say like mine's skewed
See,
right now because I have a cat that now scratches me all the time. So like my
mm.
relationship with wounds is now evolving. But like, would you ever like do something like this? Do you see this as reasonable at all?
I feel like I've gotten like paper cuts, little things like that, and been like, I'll be fine. But anything that would be described as an open wound,
Mhm, mhm.
I feel like just for like hygiene purposes, you should cover that up so like dirt does. You're a rough dude, Kevin, and you're
Yeah,
gonna get dirt in there, and then it'll get infected,
Right.
and
What's gonna
and
stop this? Like, are you gonna wait until you have an infection before you start buying it like a CVS first aid kit and putting it in your glove box? I'm gonna start taping first aid
I
kits to
I
all the Trinity rowing boats.
Yeah, I mean, the sad part is now I do have Band-Aids. I can afford them. I am domesticated enough that I do purchase Band-Aids sometimes if
He
I
was a
want,
feral
and need
man.
them. But I I was out in the wilderness. Another one, and again, I feel the need to share because this is a worry. I still on long car trips and when I'm out on the motorboat for hours at a time, I urinate into bottles, which I understand is gross and not acceptable societally, but it is filthy. I do it without even registering it as a conscious act. I just am like, I need to relieve myself, and I have a bottle at hand at all times. So just by
what
way,
what do you do with the bottle afterwards?
if it's really full, I'll usually take a snapshot of it and text it to my friends.
Oh my
Because
god.
they know how filthy and disgusting I am. So yeah, I will especially like if it's, we practice very early in the morning. So if I've had a bunch of coffee and like I'm on the launch and I need to relieve myself, fill it right to the brim, a Gatorade like 16-ounce bottle, and then send a shot to my friends. I love it at like, 6:40 in the morning. Love it.
So I know I'm sitting here and being like a judgy Judy about it, but I have to
Please do.
say, I feel like if I anatomically could pee in a bottle, I can't guarantee that I wouldn't. So I
Oh,
Right.
don't know if I can
No,
totally
listen.
judge you.
I'm feeling the same way. I feel
okay.
like this is and thank you for phrasing it so politely and respectfully,
Beautiful.
is that anatomically, I've never had the opportunity to not be 100% terrified that I was going to pee all over myself.
Mhm.
So and I am not interested in dealing with those ramifications, and, um, I feel like if the opportunity was presented, you know, I'd do it, but I wouldn't I don't know, testosterone's a crazy drug.
So we are pro plastic bottle urination, anti snot rocket. That's where we land on.
100% correct.
Yeah, yeah.
We just want our listeners to know, little worry, big worry. We are an anti snot rocket podcast,
I'm
but
attending
pro urination in bottles. Yeah,
Yeah,
case.
yep. I
Well,
don't know if
thank
I'm
you.
pro sending pictures of it to the friends after. That's a blurry line.
They both have like real, officey jobs. I love just them thinking of them in a meeting with like spreadsheets and PowerPoints and like opening up a bottle of their buddy's like urine bottle. It
You've
brings me
managed
such joy.
you've managed
Such
to
joy.
make private urination public urination, which is, like, incredible.
Just for Paul and Sean. Just for those two morons.
Are
So, but
so
thank
so
you
sorry,
guys.
Paul and John.
I really appreciate your empathy on the pea bottle one and your feedback on the snot rocket. So I will.
Miss Allie, what are you thinking about? What's something little that's bothering you?
Okay, so I live alone and I work from home. I work in insurance. So I have a desk set up here, and I've come to realize that I'm like I've become a weirdo while I'm working, and I
Hmm.
don't even realize it. Like earlier today, I was listening to music and realized probably 10, 15 minutes in that I don't think I can call it beatboxing because it wasn't. It was just weird mouth noises to the beat of the music. Um, and I'm it was 100% not beatboxing. It was just like, yeah, and like I didn't realize I was doing it.
You
And so
sounded just
I'm
like Bobby McFerrin just then.
oh, was he also
God,
sensual?
Were you
another day. He was
are you Bobby
don't
Darin?
worry, be
Be
happy.
happy.
He made noises with his mouth, and you sounded like a melodic angel right there.
Here's a
Or
semi-dated
like stuff
reference.
falling down the stairs.
Allie, are you the artist who recorded all of the hurums of Mr. Bean?
Yep. Time for me to come clean. That is me.
Mouth Foley artist.
But
So, but if someone was there witnessing this, you feel like they would think this was a very weird
it would
set
be
of
very weird, but
noises.
it would also be very distracting
Yeah.
because, like I said, I work in insurance. Fortunately, I genuinely really like all of my coworkers, so I don't think any of them would be like hating me for it. But like, I think they would be concerned that I'm just sitting there because it's not just that I don't just make noises with my mouth. I sometimes do like type
Wow.
stuff.
Yeah.
And again, I don't realize I'm doing it. It
You're
just kind of
becoming an
happens.
instrument. You're turning
I
into a
My body is an
musical.
instrument to be played for the world, but maybe
This
when
is
I'm
not
back in an
unlike
office,
me just blowing snot rockets and not realizing it. You're
it's unlike.
becoming.
It is.
Oh, it's
It's
not. Okay,
This is
different.
a
you're
gross
right.
exaggeration.
It. I mean, they're similar in that we both don't realize we're doing it,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
similarities stop there.
Yeah, Allie's not
Mine is
recording herself
mine is
doing it.
inhumane, and yeah, yours is melodic. So
I
I'm
should
sorry.
someday. I should just like set up a camera at my little desk
Mhm.
and just see what weird stuff like I whistled along to Billie Eilish's Bad Guy earlier. Didn't
Ooh.
even know I could do
Mm.
it.
It's mostly a whistle and a long kind of tune anyway. I think
Do you
Yeah.
that
do you feel like, Allie, this is a fully new kind of set of behaviors, or like did you used to do this when you were studying, or previously, or is this just new with solo COVID
I
isolation
think
work?
this is mostly solo stuff. Like in college when I'd be studying, sometimes I would, but that was more to distract myself.
Yeah.
I
I would
think
do those things on purpose.
I think
Um,
podcasts are like saving me from doing this. Like I think you're doing a good job of like being focused to the point where you have enough like audio space in around you to be like vocalizing because I'm just like if I blast
Mm.
podcasts in my ears, like I will I'll feel like I'm around others and I will shame myself into not being weird. Oh
no,
no.
I just do it.
No, I was gonna say, do you make random noises as well, just like unconnected to music or melody, or
Um, yeah, I do. Usually it's music related because I usually just have music playing. Um, but sometimes, guys, I'm a real weirdo. Sometimes I'll get like a thought in my head. Uh, like the other day, it was something I was thinking about because I work in insurance and I see different like businesses. And there was one that worked with chickens, and so I started thinking if a chicken was singing the song that was playing, and not even realize I was doing it out loud, I started like clucking the song.
wow, a remix?
All right, Allie, you did this to yourself, but I think we all need to together sing Billie Eilish's Bad Guy with as chickens.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I mean, I think I did bring this on myself. This is the shame needed since no one is around to shame me most of the time.
I know this song so well. I'm just gonna leave it to you guys to do this because I
No,
know this song too
I
well
honestly I
to
can't
do it.
remember even how it starts. It's like the Right? That's how it
I do
starts?
the wings too when I'm alone because I've gone full blown weirdo, but it's like a bark 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 bark.
Bark, 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 bark. Wanna make a company together?
Good, done. You know what? I'm quitting tomorrow and pursuing this full time.
That was powerful stuff, guys. I want you to know. I was moved by that.
Did it for
Doing it for Billy.
Oh, this
Oh
one's for
my
you,
Um,
Billy.
so Casey, I listen to podcasts often as well when I'm working, and I will respond to the podcasters out loud, like Allie, kind of like you. I'll be like, "That's a stupid point. Like, what are you talking about?" I listen to like politics or sports podcasts or news or whatever, and yeah, we'll just fully respond as though I'm a part of the conversation, which may be the point of podcasts. But to your point, Allie, like I don't know, I'm not doing it musically, but I have these outbursts as well.
Yeah, and then if you were in an office scenario
Oh,
with,
Mhm.
like, another person sitting 2 feet behind you, how would they respond to your random outbursts? Like,
Yeah,
I
like
don't
Kevin,
I
maybe me and Allie are working, we're working at our stations and maybe you just think about yourself listening to a podcast and we'll just react to you. This is great for the podcast portion of this show.
God, Dax Shepard, that is a ridiculous point. There's no way that Jason Segel would be good in a remake of Godzilla. Oh, click, click,
Dax
click,
Shepard's
click.
still working.
is Kevin okay?
Dax Shepard of Armchair Expert.
No, I
Very good
know.
podcast.
I love Dax Shepard.
I'm playing your coworker who thinks that
Who's
only
lame?
Dax Shepard is only on Punked and then fell off the face of the planet.
I yell and sports podcasts. They are
That
so.
doesn't surprise me.
I torture myself by listening to some really stupid ones that are. Yeah, I get very involved.
My dad's
Mm.
a sports podcast as a person.
He's a walking sports podcast.
Yes. And a politics podcast. Kevin, I think that you should just capture my dad's soul and put him in an iPod.
Yeah. I've met your dad once, and he and I were best friends within 90 seconds because of sports.
There you go. I don't
We
hate
will
sports, but he likes it more than anyone else.
we will explore this on a future podcast with fathers and sons and daughters and sports and somehow. But like Allie, I met Bill, right? Is your dad's first name?
Yep.
I met Bill Grambo once, and we bonded over his coaching and love of Casey's high school and middle school basketball career. And it was like immediately best friends. It
And
was
Allie,
so
like you and I were like at the same party, like doing something else.
yeah.
That sounds
And
about right. Yeah.
he and I just locked eyes, like locked souls for 5 intense minutes where we were like so deep. It was great.
So
It was
This is
beautiful.
how you know I'm not a sports person, but when you just said that, I pictured the scene in West Side Story when Tony and Maria see each other and like the lights go down and they
All the
just slowly
blurry.
walk to each other. I just picture you and yeah.
My dad's just doing a lot of this. Dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
Am I the Maria in
Cluck,
that
cluck, cluck.
situation? Or? I'm fine
Yeah.
with that. I just want to
I
know
think you're
which
the
role I'm
Maria.
playing.
You would look beautiful in a white dress.
Of course.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be the
course.
one with the acting training to handle the final monologue.
Okay.
Mm,
Yep.
Yep. Oh, that monologue.
How many bullets left? What is it?
Left
Chino!
for you. Still have one left for me. Oh,
So,
Yeah, we
Allie,
would.
transitioning back
Yeah.
to I don't know if we ever will transition back to a communal workplace. Are you worried? So that maybe is your worry. What happens when you go back to the communal workplace?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I call it a little worry because it's not like I work somewhere where I'd actually get in trouble if I were to have weird outbursts. They also like, they all know me, and they know that I'm a general weirdo, but not, like, the bad kinda weirdo.
Yeah.
Um, but I am genuinely concerned that, like, I'll be sitting at my desk working and just do a couple and bother people in ways that I hadn't anticipated.
I think your use of a pee bottle will bother people more than your when you go
It
back to work.
would
Think about it. It's
it
a
would
sensible
bother
solution.
people more.
Yeah.
So what I need to do is start peeing in bottles so that when I make noises, people don't care about that.
They're
They're
like, "That's the
concerned about.
least of our worries. You see the
Yeah,
pee bottle under her desk?"
we did it, we solved it.
Oh my god. Yuck. I love
Well,
it.
thank you, Allie, for sharing your little worry. Good
Of
luck.
course.
That
Thank
was
you.
amazing. Okay, we're talking about big worries now, so we're gonna get into it. And I think I'm gonna go first, and then we'll transition into what Allie's bigger worry is about. Feel like a good
Sure.
idea? Okay. Okay. So you guys, uh, we've been in a pandemic, not allowed to gather, um, which has been intense for me because I work in theater, but also, but also, I was planning on getting married last year.
Yay,
Um,
mazel tov, married.
it's so fun to feel like happy about it because it just brings so much stress because of the other context. Um, thank you. And um, we had my fiance Nate and I had gotten engaged a year and a half before we'd planned to get married. So we already kind of like had a long engagement, as they say, and then it got extended due to COVID. And when N- Nate went away on a trip to do a show, and when he was gone, I was like, I'm gonna go with my mom to get a wedding dress. So this was like in 2019. Like
Mm.
we did that. As you know, it is now 2021. We've all been locked in our houses, attached to chairs. And I have just gained weight since then, as many people have. And I'm now like freaking out that like this dress that's non-refundable, F you, David's Bridal, no returns, is not gonna fit. And I'm at that point in like the freaking out process where like I haven't tried it on. So and the only thing you could do to like know if it's a problem is to try it on. So that's my big worry, and I'm down to like talk about it.
It sounds like a real, like, Schrodinger's wedding dress situation of, like, you don't know how small it is until you try it on, but you're not gonna try it on because you know that it's small. I get it.
It's oh my god. It's such a tragedy. And it I will say that I had a big opinion about this wedding dress that I was like, I don't want to look like a ship. Because I do feel like there are certain there are certain wedding dresses that you look like a ship when you're in it because it's like you're like the front of the ship and then like the bottom of the
Mhm.
dress, you're just like, I don't wanna look like I'm like sailing everywhere I go. Like I just don't want to look like that. So
There's
the
just a big stern off the boat, off the train, and your bosom is the bow? That's
yes, like
the yeah,
I'm like the
okay.
lady
I'm with
attached
you.
to the front. You're seeing it. So I
I'm
don't
so
Yeah,
yeah.
I really
I'm
want to
on
look
board.
Nautically, I'm really connecting with this theme.
yes. There's a
Yeah.
stern, which is yeah. There's a bow, I'm what is the left and right?
Port and
Port and
starboard.
starboard. Yeah,
Yep, I knew
it
that.
would all have been there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I want a dress that's like not fitted. I'm not like a cuckoo bananas person. I'm not like mermaid cat. That's another nautical thing for you, Kevin. Um, but it is like a straight set dress. So it's like there and it's like a lining underneath like a lace overlay. So Al, you know what I'm talking
Sheath
about. There's
sheath
a
dress,
sheath
yeah.
going on. That is not a joke.
Yeah.
That's yeah, so I'm like, "Oh, no!"
Yeah. No, I get that. I don't know if I've ever told you guys, I don't know if a lot of people know this, I'm obsessed with weddings and wedding dresses.
I didn't know
I
this.
had no idea.
I secretly dream of quitting my job and becoming a wedding planner slash bridal consultant because
Mm.
I that is my dream.
Oh my
My
god.
dream. So yeah,
What is the most
so
appealing aspect of matching bride to dress, or not, or just, or providing dress consult?
I mean, it's the shape of it is so important for like how comfortable you're going to be because you're going to wear this thing for 6 to 8 hours.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You don't want to after 20 minutes be like I'm being stabbed in the
Me
chest
want out.
or
Yeah.
like I was in my friend's wedding and she looked gorgeous but every 3 seconds she was pulling it up because it was very heavy.
Mhm.
So these are all important things to weigh.
Yeah, the phrase
Um
hoist, I didn't wanna be a part of
yeah.
the day, the experience of hoisting, and I'm just, like, worried that, like, the further I push myself into this, like, denial, like, me walking is gonna be hoisting, so, like
Or like
I'm just
with
like,
with the
"Oh."
mermaid and trumpet dresses where your legs are like stuck together and you have to just like tiptoe.
Yeah, like, oh, who
Yeah.
you can't dance in that, and I will say, part of me was like, there is some benefit to the ship. Lots of movement in the ship on, like, the
Mhm.
lower half, like, there's a whole
Mhm.
galley and, poop deck. There's lots of space,
Oh,
but
yeah, there's the aft deck, the foredeck. I mean, there's lots and lots of room in there.
there's so
So
many
the poop
decks.
deck is very important as someone who has held up a bride's dress so she could use the bathroom.
Wow.
Like,
Wow! Number
this
2? For number
No,
2 or number, oh.
actually no.
You
I should
introduced
have
it like it
phrased
was
that
number
differently.
2.
It
Number
was
1 is intense enough, but if it was
yeah,
number 2, that
because she was
is,
like tied into the
it's just a
dress. It
poop
was it was
tent.
a it was a corset back, so she was tied into it. We couldn't get her out until we were getting her out. So when she
Yeah,
had to pee, 4 bridesmaids were lifting it up so that she could, you know.
it's just like, I'm like, "Oh, no," like, this whole thing, I'm very excited to get married for, all of the lovely reasons, and, I think, Nate, my fiancé, and I, who you guys know, I'm just saying it for the people who don't, um really like parties. So, like, that's a big reason why we wanted to do it, and now with COVID, it's like, "Oh my god," like, now I'm, like, freaking out about this dress, and it feels so not important. It only feels like a huge deal is because of David's Bridal being, like, a total, like, I don't even know what the right word is to say, like, just, like, con man, like, David is evil, and
Mhm.
he won't this is, like,
It's one
way
of those,
sillier than I
yeah,
mean it
it's
to
one of
be, but
those,
it's, like,
like,
really fucked up.
yeah,
Mhm.
and it's one of those events that, like, you would want a vendor, uh, because of the, to bend over backwards to make it special for you. So whether it's the caterer or the band or the wedding dress, like, that they will accommodate in every way, and that just doesn't happen.
And I I
Like,
think
that's
what's,
just
like,
not necessarily the
and I
case.
think what's really wild is, like, there's, great organizations like ModCloth who do have returns, who do create wedding dresses that are affordable, and David's Bridal, while they have affordable options, their process, like, kind of, like, live in this, like, we're convenient, we're all over the country, like, if you wanna have things match or whatever, or, like, get it done easy, like, we're the place to be, but when it comes down to it, it's I'm not surprised that they're, like, almost going out of business even though they are legitimately everywhere, is because
Mhm.
I'm gonna come around and say it, already gave my money. You're terrible company. And I'm worried, uh because I'm worried that, like, I'm gonna feel like shit, you know, because I can't lose this weight fast enough, and that's like a whole, like, that, and that's the huge worry that's on top of this, like, big part financial, part, like, self-esteem worry, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You
Right.
know, so it just sucks.
Because I mean, it's your wedding day. And so if you don't feel at your best, that's going to be lingering over the entire thing, which is the last thing you want.
Right, and there's already so many other fantastic things to be worried about
So
and
many things to worry about on your wedding day.
to be excited about, but if I'm like, "Uh-oh, I'm a ship now, the dress is in the ship." Oh, God almighty.
I think, so much of, people's health is just connected to activity, and to have like
Mhm.
a year where activity is so hampered, it just is so challenging, like
It's really
physically,
wild.
mentally, emotionally. People that I, work with for personal training, like it's, people on the team, like myself, like I'm used to having unencumbered movement, like any park, any body of water, any anywhere, any gym, and it's just for a year. It's like you cannot move and be active, in
Yeah.
the way
And
that
in
you want.
January, I was, like, really kinda kicking butt, like, I was, like, going for really long walks and, like, doing a lot of stuff, but it really the amount of a difference it was making was, like, minimal, and it just, like, kind of I r
Mhm.
like, I know what I gotta do, but, we all know that, like, when you know, it makes it worse. Like,
But,
anyone
like
who struggled with their weight knows that when you're aware of it, it makes it the
mhm.
worst. Yeah.
But there's also an extra element of like, it feels like there's extra obstacles now when you're making those decisions that you wanna move more because, I'm in this small apartment in a city. I'm not gonna go out for a run at night by myself.
Right, straight up.
I would normally go to, like, my gym, but I'm not going to the gym because it's not particularly safe.
Mhm.
I so you're even if the effort is there, there's obstacles. I mean, obviously, that you can always find some way to do things,
Right,
but you have to put in the extra energy to be like, "Well, how can I make this happen?" As opposed to just going and doing it and putting your energy into doing it.
for
Does
sure.
that make sense?
Yes, because I think energy is like and like especially if you're a person who like this already is like there is other mental energy going into it. And I just wanted to say because this is like this is where I think like the big worry really comes into it because like financials are one thing and losing the money and maybe needing to spend more money, well, that's terrible. Like the thing that really feels personal is like, you know, I've been really working on trying to kind of like strip the kind of weird taboo in my mind around like if I'm moving, I'm exercising and if people are looking at me like as someone who is heavier, like that they are noticing me as someone exercising and moving for exercise. And that
Mhm,
and my anxiety about their judgment of my body needing exercise made me mad, made me resentful, made me, um and then reluctant to do so. So, I've been, like, really being, like, mindful about, like, "Hey, this is, like, a daily practice, just like brushing your teeth, like, just because my body is the way my body is, female, like, heavier, all these things, like, other people like, do not let other people looking at you like, stop you from doing these daily practices. So, like, I
mhm.
do wanna say that I have some positive feelings about this, and that's what was helping me in January, but
Those
that's the
people who
I
are but those people who are, like, evaluating at some level exercise for an aesthetic ideal are fucking turd burgers. Like, that's not
yeah.
like, I train and have trained for 25 years, never for aesthetics. Like, that's not the point. Like, for
Mhm.
me, there are performance metrics, which are boring and stupid and douchey, but, like, like, a very specific goals for exercise. Otherwise, it's just like it is to honor, like, our physical selves in my
Mhm.
like, for me, training for some, like, outward ideal is just stupid. Like, that's not the point of the
Yeah.
gift of, like, the machine we've been given of our bodies to do whatever we're able and inclined to do with them.
It's one of
Mm.
those
So that
things
just
that
makes me
where
angry to
yeah,
think that
and
people are, like, judging that. That sucks.
it should make you angry, but it's so prevalent.
Sure.
Like, I was having, pre-pandemic, I had started going to a gym and working with a personal trainer, and I found I would always go when I was working with her, and we worked in like a separate room, and I was feeling so much stronger. But whenever I would go without her and just in the general public, there was that same sense of like, oh, here comes like the big girl working the machines, which I should be able to just be like, not let it phase me. But obviously it does because we're human beings. But I miss it because I'd been working on building up core strength, and now I just sit hunched
Mhm.
over all the time. I'm essentially just an emotional banana at this point. Um, so,
That's an
but
amazing image.
but I mean, like, I get that. I'd like to be able to think, I'm moving my body. That's what the point of this is. But I get that feeling of judgment that you were talking about too.
So deeply appreciate, Allie, both your kind of like acknowledgement and support of that feeling. And Kevin, it's also really great to hear from you, someone who like works in athletics, somebody who exercises, someone who I think is a fit person. Kind of like distinguishing the difference between, being fit and being like fit for aesthetic, because you're right, like that is douchey. That is the douchey thing I'm thinking about. And kind
Yeah.
of like again, like stripping away kind of my judgment of people who are like doing exercise, even if it's like kind of like a deep dark like coming from my sense of insecurity, right? Because it's all just coming from everyone's judgments coming from their insecurities,
Mhm.
blah 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 blah. So
Yeah.
just kind of knowing that there is this like lovely middle ground where people who are working to keep themselves healthy, and that there is a wide spectrum of that, and you can be healthy in any size.
And
Yeah, okay.
comparison robs all joy from anything that you're
Facts.
doing, you know?
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
Facts for real.
no, I offer that just as like, my own philosophy of like, I do take physical, conditioning and physical activity very seriously. It's my vocation in
Mhm.
life. Like it is what I do for a career. But it is never about appearance. Like it is never, for my career, it is about performance and measurable performance. But in general, it is to like live a full and active life and not to yeah strain for some like ideal image or some like valueless metric, like absolute body weight, which is not an important
Mm.
metric.
Right.
But
Well, Kevin, if this
yeah.
dress doesn't fit, you're wearing it, because I
Good, please.
And you're gonna be
I would love to.
Maria from
Maria,
West Side Story.
that's my dress.
Cluck, cluck, cluck,
There it
cluck,
is.
cluck.
Here I am. Casey, thank you for sharing that worry. That is
Y'all, thank you for listening. I
amazing.
never talk about this in public, and I feel like it's important to talk about, and I appreciate
Me
your
too.
support.
Thank you for sharing
We
your
always
worry.
support you, Casey.
I love you,
And
Allie. I love you,
Allie,
Kevin.
we turn
Yes.
now to our last worry, your big worry.
Yeah. So this is something that's been weighing on my brain a lot lately. Um, my worry is I don't know whether or not I want to have kids, which for several reasons seems like a strange thing for me to worry about because I'm currently in no position to be thinking about kids in the immediate future. Um, I am in a wonderful and happy relationship with a woman who is quite a bit younger than I am. So she's definitely not anywhere near a place to be having children. But it's something that I just kind of always assumed I would do. So I never really gave it a second thought. And now I'm going to be 34 this year, and uh, I am, like I said, in a relationship with a woman. So even if I were to be like, yeah, right now is the time, it's not like we could be like, well, let's make this happen. And not that that actually happens with straight women either. It's not that easy, but
Right.
there's a lot more planning that would have to go into like with
Anatomically, it's not just a wham bam, thank you, ma'am kind of
right,
situation.
exactly. So it would be a lot more that goes into it. Um, but at the same time, there's also I feel like the last year has made me a bit more pessimistic than I used to be.
Mm.
Um, and I don't know if I even want ki kids anymore.
Can I ask a
Um,
question, kind of a clarifying question of something you
yeah,
said earlier of assuming that you always would have kids? Was that from just kind of an instinctive, like, reaction of, like, visualizing yourself with kids one day, or, like, that it was assumed by others that you would have kids and, like, put there on you? Or
no,
what did you
I
like?
wouldn't say it was put on me by others. I was very fortunate. I have and have always had a very great relationship with my parents. They're still together. I had a very happy childhood. Uh, my parents, also as another side note, would be the greatest grandparents ever. Um, but at the same time, they would never pressure me to have children. Like I've never heard of when am I going to be a grandmother ever, which I think is wonderful of them. Um, but it's just what I grew up with. I grew up with this happy nuclear family and had cousins, and there were other kids in the neighborhood. And I just kind of assumed, oh, you grow up and you get married and you have kids. Uh, there's a lot of things, though, that I assumed about my future, like I'd grow up and marry a man um, and have kids, and those haven't happened. So I don't know why my brain still has the assumption that the kids part is something that has to happen. Does that make sense, or am I
Totally.
rambling?
You're
No,
not
totally
rambling.
makes sense. I think your growing pessimism is, understandable given the state of the world, over the last, I don't know, however far back you wanna go.
Mm,
I have 2 kids, and I think about it all the time of, like, what world have I brought them into? And, like, what will when the ice caps are gone in 2050 and there are hundreds of millions of people displaced, like, what will they encounter and what have I done? It's very easy to fall into that vortex and, like,
mm,
spiral. Um, and then I don't know, I think the things that we always come back to of, like, well, we have these kids now. What can we control? And just giving them the most, like, joy-filled life of growth that
right.
we can. Um,
And in
and I
many
found
ways, I
that
feel
really
like,
fun.
yeah, I feel like in many ways too, the kids and young people that I know are awesome, and they're fighting for a better world and they're fighting for a better planet. And I'm not entirely pessimistic, like everything will definitely be doom and gloom, but it's, yeah, it's, I don't know. I love all the kids that are in my life. Like I'm a godmother to an awesome little boy, and he has a big brother who I also love, and lots of friends who have children, and I love them all, and I love spending time with them. But I never, I also was never the type who like envisioned being pregnant as a child. You know, like there were some girls who would take their bike helmets and like stick them under their shirt and be like, "Look, guys, I'm pregnant," and that I don't think I did that
I
unless my brain
identify
blocked it.
your brain blocks it up. It's like the only reason that people get pregnant again with the bike helmet is because their brain uses all the chemicals to wash the memory away. um, I this I find this really interesting because I think that there's this like intersection, like as somebody who also is like, I do want a like I want a family, but like what? Like how does that even work? You know, this yeah, there's a lot of like I feel like like manifesting or imagining like what your life like what you want your life to be, like imagining, the experience of pregnancy or adoption and like the trials and tribulations of that experience and the risk and reward of those experiences. Um, you know, I find it like so intense and um so much like thought process goes into those things, and then there's like the pro and the con list of like what's the base reality that these little babies are going to be coming into. And it's like when when like the logistics are hard, you know or scary, you know and that's why it's like so emotional to hear about people who like, you know spend years trying to adopt or spend years trying to have kids. you know when it's then met with this like long list of like, you know political unrest and climate change and all these things. It's like, what is the point? And then you think about what is the point, and there is so much that's brought into your life by the youth. To me, like, and young people and babies being around, like, they're like a show that like livens up all like the old tired people in the room, including myself. Like, they're such a source of joy. So I Allie, not only do I hear you, I feel like I'm in a very similar place, and I
Yeah.
understand.
Are
And
you a planner, Allie? Like, are you a like, you know,
not
year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, like that?
not really, no. Um, I I I like to think that I am, but I'm too ADHD brained to stick to a plan. So
Yeah,
like every week or so, it's like actually the new 5-year plan is this.
yeah.
so um, so no, I've never really been a planner. Um, and I feel like I've always just kind of thought those big decisions. I'm like, oh, I'm young. I can just think about those later. That's for older Allie to think about. And then I'm like, I'm turning 34 this year, which is still young, but
Total is very young.
in terms of the adult decisions, I'm like, oh, I'm future Allie now. The future is now.
The second thing that you described, that is me. It's just like ever evolving, like kind of random kind of impressions of what the future may hold and what I might want it to be. And it's like, yeah, future Kevin will figure that out. So I had a very serious girlfriend before I met my now wife, and that girlfriend was close to 10 years older than me. And I was like not in a place of like locking down and getting serious. I was like, life is awesome. I'm a couple years out of college and this is wonderful. She was in a very different stage. And so then we broke up and she was lovely, like really fun. I met my wife and we were married and had kids within 5 years of that. It was just like,
Whoa.
and it just like turned on a dime unexpectedly and without planning or forethought. It's just like, this is what is right now.
Mhm.
And that's, I think personality wise, like that's so much more how I've navigated things of like, what is right now and kind of running towards it. And then once you're like, it is a blessing to go through, pregnancy or the adoption process or like the possibility of having kids. It is so exciting. And I don't think that's something that gets talked about a lot of like people talk about the stress and like be feeling overwhelmed. It's just like a freaking log flume that's like going to the top of the hill and you're like, "Holy shit, here we go, here we go, here we go." And then you're boom, like plummeting down, you know?
For 18 years.
Yeah. But it was just like it's so thrilling and exciting, at one level, which I don't
Yeah.
know, I never heard people talk about that or people didn't prepare me for that, but it was I don't know.
I feel like it used to be people only talked about the good things. It was just like, "It's a miracle, and
Yeah.
you're gonna love it," and then we've swung the pendulum the other way, where they're like, "No, you're never gonna sleep again." And I think there's a middle ground that we probably need to address, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, it's something that it feels like day to day, week to week, my thoughts on it are changing, um, but
I
I don't
think you'd
know.
be a really good parent. I wanna say that.
Amazing.
Thank
Amazing
you.
parent.
I think you'd be a really good parent, and, I've doodled around on the internet and tried to figure out, like, okay, what the F is, like, the actual, like, difference in financials between, like, adopting and, like, and having a baby, and they're like wedding venues, they're the same price, just one happens to be covered by insurance, hopefully. Um, but I think that the world is a wild place, and people will help good people get good things. And you put a lot of positivity, you emotional banana, into this world, and I think that, uh,
Got the
I think
yellow and everything.
yeah, I think that lots of people, if you wanted to do adoption or whatever, lots of people would wanna help you, Allie, so I hope that you do whatever you want, and I understand why you wouldn't wanna do it because it's
Yeah.
scary.
It's such a intense worry, and hopefully you find whatever is right, yeah, for you to pursue.
You know what will be funny? My 22-year-old girlfriend doesn't know that this is the topic I'm talking about.
Tell her there was a
She's
problem with recording. Sorry, the
she's gonna
episode's
watch
not
this
coming out.
when it comes out and just be like, what?"
Don't worry.
Uh,
That would be such an improvisory, performery thing to do. I'd be like, "This is how I want to present this to you in a show, on a podcast, in a venue."
uh,
Uh,
yep.
that
No.
that has been a very constant talk with my wife about this. She's like, "Oh, so you're gonna go on the show and talk about some of your deeper feelings and some of your deeper thoughts and challenges?" Like, "Oh, cool, on a show with Casey. Cool, dude. Yeah, no, that's cool." I'm like,
I'll
"Yeah,
be
yeah,
over
that's what
here
I am
talking
most
to
comfortable."
myself.
I am most comfortable between action and cut, and yes, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, that's where I am.
Well, I
Hey,
think that you can be worried about things that you're not even close to actually engaging in, so don't worry,
Allie, thank you
girlfriend listening.
for girlfriend. Yes, that's our disclaimer. We'll put that at the top of the show of just like the topics covered on this conversation are not for 22-year-old ears, please. Allie, thank you for coming on Little Worry, Big Worry,
Mhm.
sharing an amazing, fun little worry and a very serious and important big worry with us.
thank you so much for having me. This has been delightful.
You are a beautiful, hilarious, kind, sensual banana. Oh, Allie, we love you.
Eh, oh, I love you both so much.
Oh my god. Before we go, we have some recommendations
Oh,
for each
yes.
other. Um, I'm gonna go first just because I don't wanna forget it. Um, Kevin, uh, my recommendation this week is, an action one can take, not,
Okay.
and my recommendation this week is to send mail. I sent a bunch of cards this
Oh,
week, and it was fun, and I had a pile of things, of little messages that I was going to send to people in my hands, and it was a delight. I mailed my grandpa a book. I sent people some gifts, some, like, little valentines, and it just made me feel happy for, like, 3 seconds, and then I was
I
like, "Back
oh,
to the pandemic."
I love that, Casey. I love
Yeah,
that so much.
yeah.
I will. I haven't done it in a long time, but I still get magazines. I
Mhm,
subscribe to physical magazines that come to my home. When I read an article, I love ripping out an article and sending to someone who I thought of, who like,
mhm.
"Oh, you'll like this article." It is such an old man thing to do. And
Yes.
I'll do it to like those same friends that I send pictures of my pee to.
Paul.
I'll be like, "Paul,
See?
I thought of you with this article," and I'll write a little handwritten note, and I love that. Thank you
And he's
for
like, "What was this
reminding.
sealed with?" Ugh.
I didn't wash my hands. Sorry, pal.
Sorry.
But I love that. Postcards, letters, notes. Oh, that is so wonderful. I will do that this week, and make sure that I send something to my buddies. I have a podcast recommendation, and it's actually this
Ooh.
is going to be like an experiment.
Okay.
So I have two kids, 10 and 8, and I listen to music all the time. I have the Bluetooth speaker in the house, and I do like listening to podcasts as well. And it is the niche of podcasts that interest adults and are appropriate to listen to around children, very small, or at least
Mhm.
one that I'm not aware of.
Right.
I did stumble upon something called You Must Know Everything. So it's a podcast. They are little 10-minute podcasts. A father and his daughter in Montana record a podcast, and it's called You Must Know Everything. Incredibly cute. Um, they talk about a topic And I'm not even gonna try to, like, describe but the daughter has a theory every show that's, like, usually connected to something real, but, like, a banana cuckoo kind of, like, little kid imaginative take on it, and then
Mhm.
they read a poem, and they talk about the poem. Poem? Jesus, why did I say that so weird? Poem?
Poem.
Poem. Um,
Whoa.
Allie disappeared.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
no.
All right, we'll have to
Um
check on her. But
we'll check on her safety, everybody. She did
mm,
disappear from the Zoom, so might be in
I'm
the
sure
World
she's
Wide
okay.
Web.
We f we found her, you
Oh,
guys.
oh my god. We ran all over the internet. We found her.
I'm alive.
We got her.
You
Phew.
you found me.
We were
Allie,
running through stacks of files like in Hackers. It was intense audience, so we got her though.
Allie,
Allie, thank you so much for being our guest. You were amazing.
Thank
We
you.
love you. Thank you for being here.
anything that you
I
wanna
was
share?
um
Plug?
yeah, obviously check out the CT Comedy Theater and all the things we have going on there. I also have a brand new Instagram account for my cross stitching projects that I do, some of which will be for sale shortly at Fringe Vintage and Modern in Clinton, Connecticut, a great vintage shop owned by a girl I went to high school with. So some of those projects will be there. So you can follow that at semi snarky stitches.
I
Nice.
love it.
Awesome.
Allie, I think that this proves to our audience how worried I really am all the time, that I was worried that they would be worried that something happened to you. So, everybody, this worry's solved, but there's so many still to figure out. So, thank you, Allie. Thank you, Kevin. And we'll see you next time, you guys. Goodbye.
See ya.